Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of CSP, ladies and gentlemen. And today we have two very interesting guests joining us. These two are relatively young, but are extremely experienced and talented in the field of stocks. So, without any further ado, please welcome Nihal Mohan and Darsheel Jain, two extremely young investors, but with a vast amount of knowledge. So, welcome, guys. It's a pleasure having you on.
Yeah,
Same.
it's a pleasure for me, TG. Thank you for inviting.
Um,
All right, guys.
okay.
Same. Let's get right into it. So, how do you guys get interested in stocks and investing? What was your starting point like?
Right. See, usually, first when I like actually started, right? So it was like, I'd say I started the stock market when when the COVID time actually started. So I was like literally doing nothing. I had online classes, and we all know what we did in online classes. So basically, what I did was I did more of research and things like that, and I eventually got into it. And when I eventually got into it, it was like stock market is like an addiction. I'd like to say it like that. Once you like get into it, like you just can't get out. Like you just like can't stop researching about it, like getting to know about it. So like that is when my journey started. Like let's say like what around like ninth, yeah, eighth grade end, ninth starting was like my time when I started. And yeah, I've never looked back since then. It's just going on.
That's great. I mean, the lockdown has brought like so many different things to us, other than just misery. So Darshil, why don't you tell us a
Yeah.
bit about how you started? A bit about.
So basically, I'm a Jain. So it runs in the DNA. Okay, like that cash that you get when first you invest. Like not every time you get the cash, but like you get it once like you read the financial statements of companies. Like it's a public company, right? So when you read that financial statement, you get a lot of knowledge, like how the companies like do certain how they like profit and loss, how they go up and down. That made me really curious. And coming from a business background, right? So it has always been there for me to always invest in something or the other, because keeping the money idle eventually decreases the value of the money. So in something or the other, you should be investing, like gold, stocks, or something like that. That's how I started investing. That's like my journey. Pretty much like what Nihal said, like it's an addiction. Like once you get the hang of it and once you understand how the market works, it's pretty much like an addiction. And but it's a good addiction, that I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Right.
great.
I think, yeah, I think each of us are addicted to different things in life. Some are addicted to bad stuff, um, and some are addicted to good stuff. And both of you seem to be addicted to the good stuff. So, proud of you
What
guys.
are you
So,
addicted to,
job well done.
Prajeet?
Okay. Um, Dashil, that I will tell you off the podcast. Don't worry. Um, okay, but coming back, so what are some of the mistakes that you guys made when you first started up? Of course, like when you do anything for that matter, you tend to make a lot of mistakes while starting. So, did you invest too much in any company? Did you invest too little? So, talk to us about that.
Yeah.
So
But like
okay, Nihal, I go for this
no,
one.
no, go, Darshan, go. Yeah, yeah, Darshan, go.
So what my first mistake was that I got into trends like picking up chips, like blue, like small stocks, like penny stocks. Okay, so I saw one, like it's a pretty influential thing. Like you go up to Instagram and you see reels, right? That you made this much, you made this much. I got like influenced by that. So what happened is I picked up one guy showed that this penny stock went up by this much, and I earned this much. So even I got like, okay, yeah, penny stock, it works like that. If it goes in by small, one second,
Nihal,
Yeah, yeah, I'll take over. Yeah. See, first of all, the thing is, if you want to learn the market, right, like legit, you want to go legit. The thing is, you have to make mistakes. That is how you learn from the market. that is how eventually how things work. You have to you have to fail, you have to make losses, and that is when you understand what you are actually doing. But like how I started eventually, right? So like I used to see these people like advertisements and all that things. It like kind of influences you, and like you kind of like think that like damn, this guy is making like that much in like a minute. Like so there's something called F&Os in the stock market. We call it futures and options. So it's a stage where you can make a lot of money in a less period of time, right? So like a few people, like they come in, they show that this is how you can make money. It's like that easy, it's that quick. So like many beginners usually like get influenced by these things and like eventually want to like get into it, right? But like that's like the wrong thing to do. That's not the way you do it. So like you want to get into the market in the first place, you start with a small amount and you start through investing, and especially not through penny stocks like how Darsheel mentioned, right? You don't go to penny stocks or any stocks which you never heard of. Like that's the rule of investing, right? Like the rule of investing basically states that you invest in something that you are fully aware of. Like you don't go around investing in things that you don't understand, right? Which like same, it's the contradiction to companies as well. You invest in companies which you know are good, you've heard of it, and that is when you actually invest. You don't go around investing in companies that you never heard of, or like penny stocks, like how Darshil mentioned, right? So that is the mistake which I think like probably every newbie would commit, thinking that you can make a lot of money in a less period of time by investing through various assets, I would like to say, but more than assets, a few companies. So that is one thing a beginner should keep in his mind before entering the market.
Okay. So you mentioned penny stocks and companies. What are like if you guys don't mind sharing, what are some of the biggest stocks that you own right now?
Like I mentioned, the few like everyone's heard of it, of course, Infosys, Tata, Reliance. Like these are the basic things that I feel a beginner like would like start to. I mean, like that's the thing that everyone would like have to do. I'd like to say, because I mean, of course, like this is not a tip or anything for the viewers. This is a thing where you, of course, you have to do your own research,
Yeah.
but uh, like if you really want to get in through stocks like how I mentioned, Tata, Infosys, like how the code goes, right? Too big to fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
basically, if you
Um,
want to talk about stocks, like how it was, like people right now like make a huge mistake, like going through Instagram reels, right? You see several reels showing that you made this much, right? That's one of the biggest mistakes I made. Like I picked up one stock, like one guy told that one certain penny stock, there's this one penny stock.
okay. Um, Anyways, moving on. We let Darshil kind of
I'm
start
really
up.
sorry, I'm really sorry about that. So I'm really sorry about that. So what happened is that I picked up that penny stock. I'm not gonna tell the amount because that's really embarrassing. The amount I put in, and I lost like three-fourth of it because the price of it like was 1 rupee. Okay, it dropped to 0.25 paise. So I just lost like three-fourth, like more than three-fourth. It's not. It wasn't 0.25 paise. I'm just telling it like that. It was more than that. It's that huge of a drop. See, penny stocks will give you the amount. Like even if one rupee, right? If it goes to 1.5, you'll be like, yo, it went up like this much. I won this much. But that's an equal risk of going down by that much only, which I actually endured. So that is the basic thing like a beginner must look into, like not get influenced by.
Okay.
Yeah, like I mentioned,
Darshil, yeah, go ahead now.
yeah. So like I mentioned, any newbie coming, like please like don't get influenced by anyone. Like made me like anyone like first get into it. Like I mentioned, only invest in things you understand. Don't get into things which you don't. And the stock market is the last place where you get influenced and come, right? That's the last thing you want to do. Never get influenced. Research, research, research. That's the only key to stock market. Nothing else.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a wonderful piece of advice that I think everyone can actually take off. Um, yeah, Darshil, you spoke about amount and how much you've actually invested in the stock market. I think you guys know where I'm going ahead with this question. How much have you guys made from investment in stocks from the beginning?
Technical terms, I've made zero.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
but okay, wait. First Nihal and then Darshil.
okay, yeah. So, I mean, I don't really think it's something which I would be revealing. But like I mentioned, I mean, it's not like I made like way too much or anything like that. I mean, definitely, I can't put a price. I'm sorry, but like but actually saying I'm not going through a loss. That is for sure. But I have been in a loss for a very long time. Like I mentioned, like probably I was in a loss for like what 1.5 year. Yeah, 1.5 year. It's just losses, 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 right? But then, like once I like sat down and I'm like, man, like what's going on, right? And then I like looked at things like where I have gone wrong, what I could do better, and I did things like that, and that is when my profit actually started increasing. But yeah, if you want the price, I mean, definitely I can't put the price, but I am in a profit. Yeah.
I think that tells a lot. But okay, so I think it's clear to understand that it's comfortable right now. Okay, and Dachil, we know you've
Zero. I've
not
made
made zero.
zero, bro. See, in technical terms, I've made zero. I have made
Okay,
zero technically.
not speaking. Okay, then not speaking technically. Give us an approximate or a rough amount of how much you've made.
See, I'll tell you one thing. Whoever comes up to podcast or in any other social media platform, right, and tells that they have made this much or they have made this much, right? I think they're telling one of the biggest cockboot stories because no person in their right mind will come up to Instagram or social media, will come up and say that they made this much amount of money from stocks. Because even if they do it, there will be a raid on their account, yeah. Because the amount will be
Yeah.
high. They know what says it, okay? And you know, Jeev, I've told you personally how much I've made. I can't be able to reveal it on this platform. You know why? And in technical terms, I
Yeah,
can tell.
understandable. So again,
A lot
guys,
of money, guys.
we can say that
Let's
Dachil
just
is comfortable. Okay, and technically he has made zero, so that is what uh, the world knows. Okay, this is a question that I ask people who invest in crypto, and I'm going to flip the question. I'm going to ask the people who invest in stocks. What are your guys' thoughts on crypto in general, and do you see it in the future of overpowering stocks?
Okay. Yeah. Darshil, you want to go? I'll go. Okay, yeah, never mind, I'll go. Yeah, so speaking about crypto, right, like in general, so I mean, it's not really a new thing. Like we've all heard people make millions in profits. Like it's actually a legit thing. People make millions in profits. That is, I mean, it's definitely true. I'm not saying it's not. But see, again, crypto is one of the most volatile markets in the world, right? So, keeping that in mind, see, I mean, crypto again is a thing where you actually need to know what you're doing, right? So there's like you you can, like, for example, let's say stocks, right? You can like actually like to an extent predict stocks, right? So there's something called fundamental analysis, there's something called technical analysis, right? These are like the two main analysis which you can come to, which you can conclude, and you will know that you'll know to an extent that how the stock is doing, and you may predict what's going to happen in the future, right? But when you come to the crypto market, right, though you do analysis and all those things, at the end of the day, in crypto, as it's like so volatile and things like that, there is nothing such where you can actually properly analyze the crypto markets, right? So yeah, according to my thing, I don't think so that crypto is going to like take over stocks in the future. I mean, crypto will like definitely play a huge role in the future. I won't lie on that, but I don't see it taking over stocks. That's it in my opinion. That's not happening.
Makes sense. Dashil, do you have a take on this?
So basically, like crypto cannot be compared with stocks because see, we do not know. Like, let's take Bitcoin for manner. We do not know the origin of Bitcoin. Like it can come from anyone. We if the like for stocks, we know its origin because it's a like not public company in terms per se, but being a public company, all their financial statements or everything is up for the like for the public to see. But like crypto, like Bitcoin and any other thing for that matter, is like not knowing a source from where it's originated. It can come from any other place. It can even come from the dark web. I mean, I don't know if it may, but there can be like possibility that it can be from there. For other manners, like we have seen people coming up like there was like plastic card system. Like people used to think it was dumb, like credit card for like payments, but it came become true. It can happen in the future that crypto might exchange with cash like paper money or the plastic way of paying the credit card system.
Yeah, I think the future holds a lot in terms of cryptocurrency, but
Right.
yeah, as Nihal said, it won't replace stocks or take over stocks or whatever. Let's go back to the more into the process of buying stocks. So how do you research and analyze stocks before buying them or selling them? How do you what are some of the tools and resources that you guys use?
So yeah, like I mentioned before, you so let's say select stock. So first of all, like I advised before, it's better you always companies that you rid of and will know that will actually prosper. Like those are the companies you actually go with. And I mean, of course, you don't trust them blindly. That's definitely you do like basic research. Sure. Now, do you do to actually get it right? So, like I mentioned before, there's something called fundamental analysis and something called technical analysis, right? So, technical analysis is something where you look at candle patterns and things like that, right? Like you basically analyze graphs in the market, right? That is what you call a technical analysis as. But a newbie who invest, I like definitely not recommend him to like actually start by technical analysis because that would totally not make sense. So fundamental analysis in the sense and like sources I use. Uh, uh, like there's a website called Money Control, right? Like that's one of the websites which I like majorly use. You go to the website, you look at you look at the you look at the company like in general, like and overall, like how is the company performing for the past 3 to 5 years, right? You look at the overall how it's performing, the profits it's made, the losses it's made, and the potential of its growth. Like these are the certain main factors which I, as an individual, actually look into before I like buy or sell any stock. these are the basic things which I feel like anyone would actually look at, right? So that's
Okay. All right. Darshil?
And Darshil?
Yeah, so what my thing is that I firstly look into the like quarterly or half yearly financial statements of the company, whether if they're going profit or loss. So it might be two scenarios. With a profit, and whereas the rise of the like stock price, there might be a loss. They can again rise with the stock price, and there might be a loss and the going down. So basically, I look into the market trends, how it's going. There's one thing that knowing is that even if you think that the stock's gonna go up, why do you think is people releasing those stocks in for you to buy? Might be a certain reason for that stock that they're releasing for the general public that they know that it's gonna go down or something like that. One more thing is that mm, if the stock's going up like for a really really long time, there where it might come a certain dip. There might come like for example right now the Hindenburg report which I can think about where I think people have committed suicide because of that report because Adani's value dropping a lot. So you look into those factors again, you look into the financial statements, you look into how the graphs moving. Like, is it going up? Is it in a way that it's going to reach a high up? Or you look into what the company wants to do for future. Like, for example, the Geo demerger from Reliance, Geo demerger, right? Geo demerger, which can increase the price of Reliance, which it did, if I'm right, it did increase it. So you look into certain things like those as well, where you get a chance that it goes up and not down. You look into those types of financial statements if they had a quarterly profit, if they had a half yearly profit, you look into like the managing directors, if they have got into any scams and all, you look into those types of factors as well before you start doing a huge thing like investing in a huge amount.
Um, Fair enough. Um, okay, guys. So say I'm a beginner, right? And I want to get into stocks. And say the people who are watching it also are beginners and want to get into stocks. What is a process that they would have to follow to actually, start investing into stocks from creating a demat account and then researching and all that. So if you can break that process down, that would be amazing.
yeah. So basically, first of all, a newbie who's like wanting to invest, right? So first of all, I've heard this through many newbies who come to me for it, right? So first of all, many people who actually want to like come to invest in the first place, they're again, like I mentioned, influenced by like thinking that they can make a lot of money in like a very few days. Forget about days. People think that they can make like millions in hours, right? Like that isn't how it works. Well, it does work, but that is for like very experienced, like not even people, institutions, right? Like I'm talking about hedge funds and things like that. They have the power to do so, so they do, right? So like a beginner who'd like to start first, I'd say that you first actually have the interest in the stock market. Second of all, to like please do make sure that you're not in the market thinking that you're going to make a lot of money. Don't like that's the last thing you have to think about. And then the third of all is do basic research, find out what stock market is, the index is present, the company is present, things like that. And then you slowly move on to fundamental analysis, analyze the company, look at the financial statements, and eventually invest in companies. Again, not like a very, very large amount. The amount which you can afford to lose is the one you start with. Though you know that the company is like definitely going to perform well, going like rushing in with a large amount of money is the last thing you want to do. So yeah, don't that's the one mistake that you don't commit. Uh, uh, Invest money that you know that you can afford to lose, and then comes again, like I mentioned, uh, fundamental analysis, research about the company, find out, look at the balance sheets, the P&L, and then get in, like invest, and don't expect profits like in a day, two or three, right? Sometimes it may take. Sometimes you may get a lot of profit in a day or two, but eventually that's not how it works. Uh, like I'd say for a newbie that long-term investing is what you should be looking at, aspiring for. That's pretty
All
much
right.
it.
And Darshil, if you can explain, like the technical aspect of the process behind actually, starting a demat account and all of that.
Yes, basically get a demo. So I'm not really sure of the process because because it's my dad's account. So I don't know that how my dad opened because I mostly do the research part of it. So basically, if you want, I divide my lumps of money into 10 parts. Like first one getting the most and the last one getting the least. I know sounds cliche for a lot of people out there, but this is the most effective method in my opinion. Like your first choice stock preference, you have the most amount of money, and your last stock preference has the least amount of money. And the first stock, of course, is your first stock. You have to have the most preference for it, and you think that it's going to give us for a long term. Like how Nihal was talking about fundamental analysis and technical analysis. I believe fundamental analysis you have to look in because fundamental analysis is a long term process. Like for a company, for a stock, right? It takes a long term. Like for the first choice stock preference, right? You think for a long period of time and you're investing a bigger amount of money and then your 10th might be a short preference, like a short term thing like you put in, and as soon as the profit comes you pull out. Like that way you look into it. Not really sure for a demat account. I think you need a PAN card and you should be 18 plus if I'm right about it. Not really sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's
Um,
Yeah.
Okay, super. Okay, yeah, I think that's a lot of valuable insight that both you've given us and what people can actually
Yeah.
take off while investing. So you guys said, and I think the one thing that everyone I think has taken away from this podcast till now is that do your research, right? And that is what you're supposed to do before investing in any stock for that matter. Whether, as Dashi said, if you're splitting it also, even if you want to make returns in the short term, or if you decide to buy and hold. So do your research. So now my question is, how do you actually do your research? Because so are you looking at articles? Are you looking at websites? Do you have these web pages that actually give you like latest info and fastest info about companies and their plans, and that's how you decide to invest in them?
Firstly, look into business dailies. Those types of papers have a lot of details about how it goes through. Business dailies, then of course your financial statement is important, like quarterly financial statement, which they're gonna release. Mostly that, and then you look into articles, like you go up to like Google or something, you type in the company's managing directors, and type in if there are any scams or any court cases is going against the company or against the managing director, which might affect the stock for eventual comings. Like you think like if because I think if a company is getting like lawsuited and if it's a huge thing, right, the prices will eventually come down. So you like try to avoid those types of things, and then you look into matters like I think it's gonna sound a little bit off, but like if any person, like any company has like good partnerships with the government, like public partnership, if the company is like with the government and doing a lot of infrastructure building, India, which is a growing economy and like a second old country who's coming up right now, if any of the companies are like with the public who is looking into building infrastructure like those things, you look into those types of matters, how they're doing, what is their cost product breakdown, how they move into how the transport is done, how it is like how everything is done of the company. You research about that, and then you look into matters. I mean, if everyone understand what is.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much. So, and also you consider politics also as one of the major factor in the stock market, right? Because politics also does play a huge role. Right? Because
Yeah.
a few bills passed in the government, a few steps someone may take may lead to a huge bounce of the market, right? I mean, we've also seen it in the past, and like that is how it actually works. So politics in general should also be covered, and like I mentioned, like you follow up with the market, you follow up with the news. Like there's a quote in the market which says, I believe the quote was, "Buy the rumor and sell the news," right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how you go
That
about.
makes a lot of sense. Okay, for a
Okay.
more personal question, like when times get tough, your stocks are low, there's recession. How do you cope with stress and emotions when and not taking decisions? That's the most important thing. So how do you cope with these things? How do you calm yourself down in such situations?
Yeah, right. So see, let's leave the individual term right now. Let me talk about what the institution and like the people who actually are
Nihal,
based in
sorry to
market.
interrupt,
Yeah,
but we'll need you guys to summarize this answer because of the time crunch. So we have only 2 minutes left until the meeting gets over. So like just
like I
or,
get,
or, or like one go-to solution.
yeah. Sure. So like see, what these institutions like actually do, right? So there's a term called hedging in the market, right? So it's basically a kind of an insurance on the like bets you made on the market. So let's say a recession comes, anything in general comes which crashes the market. So this is the safe play which big institutions play for to just like mitigate their losses.
Okay.
Right? That's what you actually
Okay.
do.
Guys, I'm so sorry, but we do have a time crunch. Darshil, I would have loved to hear
No, only
what
one
you
more,
could
only
like
one
to
more.
say
Discuss the
later.
CSV podcast.
Yes, go on. Yeah. Thank you. And viewers, thank you for watching. We hope you had a very good time. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, everything. Okay, we'll be tagging Darshil and Nihal's accounts in the bio. Okay. And yeah, thank you for watching and hope you
Thank you,
enjoyed.
Nihal. Thank you, Darshil, for joining us today. And if we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, sir.